Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. Gonna be doing a... this one's gonna go out to a lover of Steinax. Can't wait for the frame-by-frame Tennocon breakdown. Yeah, so we're gonna go through the Warframe section of Tennocon. Obviously, massive spoilers if you haven't seen it. Um, if for whatever reason you've gotten to this channel and you didn't watch Tennocon, by all means go watch that first. Tennocon is always amazing. It's an absolute hype machine. But yeah, he sort of made a joke. I'm gonna run with it a little bit. I don't really do these breakdowns. I think I did a dev stream breakdown before, and to be honest, it all feels like just sharing an opinion. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. So I'm gonna share a bit of a breakdown. Hopefully it helps. Maybe it's entertaining. We'll see how it goes. So no builds, no rants or anything like that. Just observations. Just in terms of like clarity, this is gonna be the third time I've watched this. So this isn't gonna be like an initial reaction video, but obviously DE tries to pack as much as possible into these. They're very, very good at their videos and their gameplay demos and everything when it comes to Tennocon, so it's probably something I missed. But lover of Steinax, this is for you. I'm gonna hit you with the like and the upvote. Alright, so we're gonna start at about the hour mark. They showed the Zenith pack. I just did a video about this, so I'm not gonna go too much into it. The skins are absolutely gorgeous. This is a tad whale bait, truth be told. But everything looks absolutely wonderful. The color palette is phenomenal. It has great peach colors. The black is pretty good. Not going to beat out the smoke palette. The browns give the hatred palette a run for its money. The purples are very, very nice too. Though if you have the Lotus palette, probably don't need them that much. That being said, the blues are nice. Obviously, he's colored with the cyan. And they're just nice shades overall. But the peach is really nice. If you saw the rant video about the heirlooms, the trim that was on it where it gives sort of that rose gold look, I was using this peach color. So I have been adjusting my fashion a bit to compensate. I think the top three rows, because it's peach on top, purple on bottom, are really the highlight. But obviously the brown is really nice, and if you didn't buy the what is it, the Kuva bundle, where you had to buy all of the palettes at the same time, this can be, should you buy this instead of that for whatever reason, this can be a nice alternative. But the browns are really good. They give a nice leather look, but the peaches are really, really nice. Anyway, we did increase the playback speed. We're at 1.25. Actually, let's go 1.5. Just so it's not a super long video.
We don't have Meg or Frostprime. Barzia has rotated her store and is offering some fun stuff for you guys. If you want to go in, get your relics, get your Frostprime.
Because I am going to be pausing. I don't want this to be like a 2-hour video.
The two post originals.
The OGs.
So I'm not holding my phone to be rude at all. This is actually to show you the future of the mobile version of Warframe, but my fake fingernails are so long.
I got you.
I can't actually.
Yeah, they're making progress on mobile.
Stop. Do you want us to hold? Stop. But we are playing the latest Theory content on our mobile build. So this is my personal phone. Oh, my gross thumb. This is Megan's iPad is bigger, so it might help you. I'll put it over there. Sorry, camera person, I didn't mean to do that. But Megan!
No. It was loaded.
Oh, okay.
I didn't put it to sleep.
So our team has been working really hard on.
All right, so looking at this, this seems pretty busy. And also the icons, I mean, obviously they're going to make improvements, right? But the icons don't seem in a place, like if you were doing like tablet gameplay, not that I've really done it myself, but specifically cell phone gameplay, I'd want it where your hands aren't so much in the screen, right? Obviously, this is like a beta, right? And it is super impressive. It is super impressive that they've managed to trim Warframe all the way down to this. Considering they just increased the requirements on what a minimum system spec, it's kind of mind-boggling that they increased the system requirements, but then they were able to drag it all the way back down to tablet. Though the processors in these are pretty good, they obviously don't have standalone GPUs, right? Though I could imagine this would drain your battery like no other. But yeah, the resolution, the detail, and everything looks to be what's about on par for what the system could do. Obviously, the only real skin in the game as far as this is, because I know you care. I think we're all gonna have to get used to, as PC and console players, and burgeoning cell phone gamers. The only thing I can really say where it's like I really, really hope they don't fucking ever do it is I hope to God we never get a tablet host or a cell phone host. I hope they just bar it. Like, flat out. Obviously, it doesn't make sense for them to do that, but just saying, like, DE has good intentions, but, like, if you gotta join a mission, I could only imagine how slow loading this would be if a cell phone player joins me, if I'm the host. If the loading takes as long as, say, like an Xbox player, and it's a capture mission, they might not even load in by the time it's done. Because that's been happening with like the Xbox players and like the console players. If it's a PC host, like I have Warframe on an M.2 drive, I load in almost instantly. But say like a console player or a Switch player or a PlayStation player, they might need a minute or two to load into it. Well, if the mission's only 2 minutes long, the mission might be over. So I'm kind of looking forward to see what the load-in times are. They've probably put a tremendous amount of effort into fixing that, but it's just, I hope to God these things don't ever host. But obviously there was the also the Void Dash to Void Sling conversion that they did. And that went about as well as everybody remembers. They did end up speeding up Void Sling, but in terms of like skin in the game, the hosting is the big thing. But I think we just all need to come to terms with the idea of DE finding another mechanic that people like and adding it where it's a complicated mechanic. Like coptering was a thing. Bullet jumping getting added as like compensation. And then you also have like the defense ground slam where you can like stay in the air. That sort of stuff isn't going to be added anymore because it's going to have to be compatible with cell phones. And also, we're going to have to get used to the cell phone game pricing, which might be more reflective. Somebody brought it up on the rant video that I did, that it's more, this is like, might be our first instance of cell phone pricing, right? So, we'll see how it goes. But it looks great for what it is, right?
On getting this out, getting betas going, we have a really.
It looks like it's struggling. Obviously, there's some particles missing. They're not going to be able to render everything, so they've trimmed this way down, and you can see the stuttering. So, but they're making progress. They're already at the Zeraman.
But by moving, I mean intentionally putting it after another very.
They're already at Deviri.
Someone asked me about at a wedding.
Because that's the circuit.
You want to say it?
Yeah, but before we get there, so. Yeah, mobile's working. Deviri is playable on the build, and we're just getting a lot of polish, usability, performance, everything going with our team, and we're very excited that you can actually pre-order it now, and you'll be able to play it next year.
Very excited. Mobile users?
Why aren't you pre-ordering? You all have Apple phones.
Oh, sorry, right now. You mean, yeah, I've got it.
Fine. You're supposed to like play into the bit. I don't understand.
No.
It was playable here, and a few of you actually, like 3 people told me that they were very impressed with how it was working.
3
Oh, 3
people.
people were impressed. Great.
We've done it. We're good.
God bless Pablo. He's so honest.
Okay.
No That's very impressive. It worked.
Okay.
All he cares about
Well, we
it is
mentioned
his
the other
cats.
reason as to why mobile is coming next year.
And we'll talk about that after the October.
Oh, you're good. You're good. If you watch the art
I'll
panel,
turn the volume up a
you'll
little
know that
bit.
we announced our 54th new Warframe. I have a lovely slide, Dean. Dagath is going to be coming in October with many other things.
That's right. So as you all ease into fall, Dagath, this is the original concept art by Keith, who's actually here today.
He is.
And Dagath is going to be headlining our October update, so that's our next major update for everyone. It'll be coming this fall.
What's
And
it called?
It's called The Abyss of Dagath.
Oh, there it is.
There she is. Yes. So who is Dagath? What is her story? This update is centralizing around bringing a new frame. It's going to bring our first sort of horror-themed dojo room as well, which will allow you to build her crypt in
That's
your
cool.
dojo.
New
And
dojo
you'll be
room.
treated.
Always like those.
You'll be treated to some narrative from Grandmother from Deimos. She has a story about Dagath and might have an origin for how Dagath got her name. So this will be a Nabarus seasonal update. Dagath will be joining us. We finally have a Warframe that starts with a D, which means
We did it. We made it.
That is
We
the-
made it.
Don't laugh. It's very important. And I'm very excited. Don't no, it's fine. And so the frame's coming with a dojo room. You'll be able to get her and learn more about her with content. But we're also making this the biggest quality of life update this year, I think. So why don't we talk a little bit about that?
Dean, I have a slide, please. Thank you.
We got slides.
Yeah, so we got a lot of things coming with this update that are very focused on kind of revisiting other things in the game, starting with Hydroid.
Hydra.
Thank fucking God.
No pressure, no pressure. Well, I'm glad you're all excited. I'm glad you're all looking forward to it. I'm just gonna kind of talk a little bit like generalities. He's gonna be streamlined. We're gonna change one of his abilities. We're gonna change his passive. We'll show full details next test stream. We're gonna do the full dive in. Because Hydroid, get it again.
Nice.
For Dagath, I am excited for the Blade and
We're
Whip.
also gonna do
Hopefully
few
it's a
other
good
things
one.
with that update.
No pressure.
You guys really like rework.
All we need on top of the companion rework is universal vacuum. Just throw that fucking mod out. But companion rework's coming, so finally we'll get to use Kubros. Because a couple of the Kubros are really good. I've always wanted to use the charger. So the strain set's super good.
We're
Running
looking
that,
at a few objectives that we have there. Basically, we don't like how
That 5 crit damage
so
melee.
Basically, they're no longer going to die. Now they're going to get
Doesn't
this
work at
incapacitated,
higher
and
level.
after a little bit, they get up. Overall, we're increasing their effective health by about 50%, something like that. And we're adding a whole bunch of
Meaningless
new mods that
50%.
basically increase how much you can kind of interact with them, how much you kind of cooperate with your companions.
I think the thesis for that is your gameplay will affect their return to battle. If they do get incapacitated, it's all about what you're doing when you're, in combos is going to actually impact your bond with your companion.
Yeah, ideally, there's a little bit more exactly the bond with
The
your
bond,
companion.
that's the idea.
I'm interested in the mods. Anything that
The
adds
next thing we're gonna work on
complexity.
is rough edges and rank rolls. So we're doing a pass on several things. Focus is going to be a little easier to get. So basically, we're increasing how much focus you get from all lenses. We're making it so when you pick up the little focus blob,
Convergence orb.
she knows the actual term. You get some focus for that. We're streamlining the quest very early. We're
Yeah, we're like, Wave Rider is going to be easier to do. Who of you has not completed Wave
Okay, I got to rant for a tiny bit. The Wave Rider quest is literally the worst quest in the game, and it's not because of like what the actual like theory of it is. It's literally just a shopping list of shit to do on the K drive, right? And one of the big issues with it, I mentioned it in one of my old videos. I'm an alliance leader, right? I literally lost a clan because it was a family and they all shared, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but they all shared a motor skill based disorder with their nervous system. And none of them could literally complete the quest. So if they ease this up at all, I'm ecstatic. Because it's just, I can't, like, it's sort of a meme at this point. Like, you'll see these streamers on YouTube and whatnot, and on Twitch TV. They've got all this shit that I do. But you'll see in the top, it says the Wave Rider quest is there. I'm not going to rant too much on it, but it's just, I'm glad they're reworking this. I hope it's way, way, way easier. Because it's like they taught you all these tricks that you had to go and mod your K drive appropriately for each thing. Like even I had to do a couple of them again, because it was like you would go out, you need to kill a couple enemies with like landing on the ground or something like that. And the K drive doesn't do enough damage to kill them. But if you had a mod all of a sudden this ability does damage, right? So you would go out, or you'd see what the thing is, and then you'd go, oh, I have to change up the build on my K drive. And most people didn't level their K drives. I'm sure like most people in my situation where it's like your LR3. But if you're like a new player, you're not trying to level K drives. Okay? People would rather go sit in a railjack survival for 2 hours and farm all of their intrinsics, or level a mech for several hours. If you didn't know to go to railjack, which is where you should be going. But they would rather do that than do the Ureli quest. So it's like if they had like a helmet for Ureli, it means they bought Ureli twice instead of doing the damn quest, because it was so annoying to do. But anyway, yeah, I'm ecstatic about that, like way more than anybody else.
Next year, there better not be a.
Oh, and also, this was something that I was thinking about after watching Tennocon, and it's a good point. It was brought up in conversations, say, like a year ago, where it's just Warframe is starting to get a layered system overload. Like if you think about the new player experience, and any of you that are new, one of the things, say like in Lost Ark, right? You have to level your frame, you get to your tier 1 gear, and then they add one system, right? And then you get to your tier 2 gear, and then they add one system. And then it's like, what is it? You have to worry about your gems, and then you have to worry about your engravings, but they add them one at a time. Warframe has gotten to the point where by the time you complete the star chart, you should have by then, according to like older players, because that's what we had to deal with. But because the game took so long, right? You're having to burn through 10 years of gameplay to catch up to a quest line. So by the time people are getting to like the Zeraman, it was really obvious the one time I did it. There was a guy there that was like MR7, right? Like they're still pretty low level. And he's trying to kill a Void Angel with a Moat Amp. Because he was trying to get to the new shit and didn't stop at Cetus, or didn't know to stop to Cetus, or didn't have anybody tell him to stop at Cetus to pick up these couple of things, even though they fixed the focus school. I think they just need to cap, or get rid of the cap, for standing on these content islands that are super old now. Like Cetus, Fortuna should have no cap. Maybe leave one on like not intrinsics, but on like maybe the Zeraman, or just get rid of it altogether, because there really isn't too much of a reason. If you can only play really like once a week, it severely hampers your ability to progress in the game if you can't do like 2 hours a day, because like a high school kid could, or like you're in college. If you are older, which is a large portion of the Warframe player base, you might only have weekends. And that's in between your kids bugging you and like mowing the lawn and shit. Like you might only have one good day and an afternoon at that. Like having a cap sucks. They should just get rid of it. So if they're talking about fixing focus, getting rid of caps, optimizing quests, hopefully, because the quests are the best part of Warframe, let's be honest here. Like, there are other things you can appreciate, you can really, really like, but the high points, those tent poles that hold the tent up, is how good the quests are. It's what brings everybody back. Every time they do an expansion, people come back. And in between expansions or updates, the player base dwindles. And then when there's an expansion or an update, like a good one, a ton of people come back. It's the thing that keeps Warframe afloat. So as long as they don't optimize it too badly, because you can hard farm the quests, right? Because you only need like what, MR5? I'm not sure about that. I think I'm just talking out of my ass. It's less than 10. Let's just say less than MR10, which means you can complete all of the quests in basically 2 weeks, right? So hopefully they don't optimize them too much to where they become irrelevant and less impactful. So, because the quests are like the tent poles, and the updates are the big thing that keeps Warframe going. It's what brings players back. And if they optimize it too much, obviously trusting DE, I'm not saying they're going to do it poorly, but that's like almost not quite, but it's almost like messing with movement, right? It's one of the tent poles that keeps the game going. So hopefully they don't optimize it too much, but frankly, focus caps, standing caps, except on maybe the latest release or the latest update, frankly just needs to go away, right? Anyway.
We're removing broken mods.
Yep.
So we're doing
Rant
several things
over.
to kind of try and streamline that experience and just taking out some of the rough edges. And finally, some accessibility options. Basically, we're doing
Auto melee is nice, but it's but they're only putting this into the game for
options to increase that. So basically, you can add like a little bit
for
of an outline to
phones.
them, change-
People have been asking about this for years. Most people, their workaround, if they don't want to use an auto clicker, is they'll get a mouse, right, with like an infinite scroll wheel. I use an infinite scroll, but that was because I only on my most recent mouse. But before I had to use an auto clicker, not like a macro, but like an auto clicker, because obviously macros are technically not allowed, right? Use at your own discretion is the rule. But an auto clicker was the way I had to do it. My very first level cap, in order to keep my hands from cramping, I was doing like a Cronin Prime, Loki Prime build. And it was a melee setup. Like I just wanted to do my first level cap in survival. Did the 8.5 in Steel Path Mott when it first came out. And that was just kind of how I had to do it. And even then, after that much time, my hands were fucking dead. But people have been asking for this sort of stuff for years. The Kubro survival, the companion survival, they've been asking for it for years. But all of a sudden, phones come around, and all of a sudden, this shit's on the table, and they're fixing it. You can probably guess what my opinion is about that. So, and the settings are going to be good.
So you can spot them wherever they are. We're doing a lot of updates to conservation to make it easier to see the animals, the footprints, and all that stuff. No problem.
Aw, you're welcome, Pyra. Aw, that's
And one change that started as accessibility but then kind of morphed was auto melee. So essentially, if you've ever felt the pain of spamming E like crazy, basically, once we tried it with auto melee, which is essentially you just hold and you just melees, it felt so much better that we decided to make that the default. And as part of that, we're bringing in a new extra mechanic to kind of spice things up on melee.
But you'll hear about all that on the September dev stream. Yeah, so our intention is, we know we have like a limited time. We're already 20. Okay, we're going to go over, sorry. But dev stream's going to answer all the things on that slide, and we'll talk about everything that we talked about at Tennocon in more detail. So if we have a lot of questions, everything there, we'll take them in September's dev stream. Yep. Now I'm talking real fast because I'm panicking because I saw the clock.
It's okay,
so.
don't panic. Also mentioned in the art panel, but now it kind of has more of a timeline because this obviously is our spooky October update. Dean, sorry, I have a slide. Grendel Prime is going to be coming around that time as well. Our next Prime Warframes, Grendel.
Let's see it.
There he
I'm
is.
so sad about this. I thought Gauss was going to be next, so I put 3
He's
Umbrals
going to be coming
Psylocke
with
Prime.
and
Prime.
regular
He's got
Grendel.
the Ambassador Prime as well. And he has a
Got a
Prime
ribbon
Zan,
for
Prime
that.
Dana, so you can kind of
Looks
step back to that
gorgeous.
time frame. And now I'm done.
Well, you're not done yet,
I'm
because
not.
as we deploy quality of life updates, there's one update that will have the greatest life quality increase, which will be cross-save. Now, why don't you answer that one, Stu?
I literally walked to the show this morning with Jeff to set up, and I heard from the crowd lining up, "Cross-save win!"
Yes. So we are happy to announce that it is coming this year, so you will be able to participate.
That's
in
a big
Cross
quality
5
of
in
life
2023.
adjustment.
We
Jesus
intend on rolling
Christ.
it out in phases, which is to say the Dagath update might have some under-the-hood changes that won't actually bring the feature, but they'll prepare the database unification we require to actually launch this. So we're going to be rolling it out in phases. We are going to get it out before the end of this year, unless we
I wonder if
don't
that's gonna
break your
affect
accounts.
trading.
So, our goal is to have it and your account safe in this.
'Cause I heard it
calendar
was
year,
an
and we're very excited
inventory
for that. The team's
issue.
working very hard on it. So cross-save is coming. When? This year? Yeah. This year.
But that's going to make some people's lives
And
so
now
much
now you know
easier.
why mobile is next year, because I could be playing.
And
right
it's going to
now
be
and
kind of
it's
sad
nice
because
and I
I know a lot of people. There's one guy in my alliance that has
You
2
ready?
LR3 accounts with everything maxed.
It's demo time.
Oh,
I don't know what he's going to do.
okay.
I got the pitch for this demo in Tim Hortons,
Yeah, I pitched this, yep.
And we were in Toronto to record that amazing orchestral quartet score, and yeah, I was having like a farmer rap and a double-double. If you're Canadian, you know what that means. And I was just like, oh, can I work on that? And Rebecca said no.
Yeah, so Megan's going to be running the demo. This is live gameplay. It's about 30 minutes, so please get comfortable, do a little stretch if you have to. And
People are actually stretching.
I know.
That's awesome. Someone
yeah,
Okay, cool, yes.
Meg has to walk over there and she can't trip, so I have to give her some time. What to say about the demo? Our goal with the future of Warframe 10 years in is, I didn't rehearse a thing. I was just hoping you would talk.
Oh,
no.
sorry, was this like something?
I'm very excited to bring you our next arc in Warframe, next cinematic arc. What you're about to see truly is the, well, don't look at the computer, but it's the beginning of the next cinematic quest arc. This is the first couple missions of the next cinematic quest arc in Warframe. I won't talk too.
I just want to say, for this being Rebecca's essentially first Tennocon where she's in charge, more or less, like officially in charge, right? Obviously, there was some bleed over where they were training her up, getting her comfortable in her new job. So probably the last one counted, the 2022. She did a great job.
Too long about it, because it kind of speaks for itself, but I just want everyone to know that the fundamental goals and what we want to do is take everything you love about Warframe, which is a lot because you guys really left me a very easy job, I think. Thank you for setting everything up. And I want to take...
Yeah, we made all the pet companions die.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah.
What, you didn't like that?
And I think that the real thesis is take what you love and look at it closer, go deeper with what you already know, and recontextualize and start from the beginning, but from a place that you already understand. Make Warframe connected. Love all the parts that we've given and love them deeper. I'm just going to stop rambling now.
We should
Cut me
play
off.
demo.
We're going to play the demo. I won't say no. Just I
And
like.
there's a whole new, like this, I always like to rant about technical stuff. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. GI lighting.
Yeah, I mean, this is a whole new lighting system that we are using in Soulframe.
It is. It's amazing.
And so pay special attention only to that and ignore everything that Rebecca thought of.
No.
Just look at that.
So please enjoy.
New lighting
this is the
system,
beginning of the
oh
next
God.
arc of Warframe. I hope you love it. We worked very hard on it, and I hope the team enjoys watching their work in front of the.
I hope they
talented
don't do
stars and all that other things.
RTX.
So without further
Like, just
ado,
skip it.
please enjoy the next cinematic arc.
I mean,
of
they have
Warframe.
something where it's like a pseudo,
Crank the volume, but not too loud. Careful.
right? All right, the volume for you guys isn't too bad. I wonder if this means, now that I look at it again, I wonder if this means we're going to get a Roken tile set update. Because they have all these new textures, where it's like actual clean Roken tile. Obviously a flip phone. It's got to be a Motorola Razr. Foreshadowing. Is he actually a JoJo reference? I keep hearing that as a joke. I don't know. Certainly looks like a JoJo reference. Okay, for those of you that don't know, this is gonna fucking date me out the ass. 3.5-inch floppies. For those of you that weren't around during this time, these guys right here are hard disks, not like an actual hard drive, but they're literally 3.5 floppies, right? The one next to it is a 5.25 floppy, and this is literally the drive for the term where it's like a floppy disk, is because you could literally they literally flopped. Like the disk inside was flexible, the packaging on the outside was flexible. I got a kick out of this. It made me laugh so hard. Because it's a 3.25, 3.5, 5.25. You got a CD drive up here. And I think a tape drive, which would be even older, but is still a relevant backup drive for today. I know I had a removable one back in the day where you could hot swap it between computers, and it was the way to transfer megabytes worth of information between two computers really quickly, because it was literally a hard drive you could pull out when the computer was running. Anyway. Except we had better resolution than that. I'm a little triggered. And then you had zip drives, which were a revolution, where you could get hundreds of megs on a disc. It was obviously like before CDs. You had the zip and the giga drives. Anyway. Okay, obviously a cavat of some kind. This might be one of the original ones. Like, instead of like the feral species that we find on the derelicts, you have our JoJo reference. We find out who this guy is later, but this appears to be like it's obviously somebody from the Andrade family. But they appear to be more human-like than what we've seen before, instead of the longer, elongated individuals that we've seen. These resemble the people in the Zeramin, right? So these are like non-infested. It's not like the Orokin elite, because every time we've seen them, right, it's been like this elongated figure that resembled the Andrade. But these people appear to be, you know, normal humans, like the survivors on the Zeramin, right? Obviously, where do I get that coat? I need it for my operator. Kinda want the hammer. It's gotta have a great multiplier to slam damage.
My lonely vigil is over. For me to know, and on no account wake the family. Despite their conflicts, they sleep in peace. But a solitary dream plagues me. You must understand, constructs cannot dream. And yet, I have.
New lighting system looks good.
In my dream, one single name repeats. Kalimos.
No good.
The memory surface long walked away. This was no dream, Tenno. It was a precept. The Kalimos sequence.
Place certainly looks nice with the new lighting.
I must fulfill this dormant precept. The Kalimos sequence has begun, and it cannot be undone.
You know, one of the things I think DE doesn't get enough credit for is their ability to do cinematics. The quests they get pretty touted for. Okay, so these were part of the teaser. Got our big old finger over here. Got what we assume at the time was the man on the wall. I forget what this one was. Hold on, let me back up a little bit. This was part of the teaser if you saw them. Hold on, I'll stop when it goes through. Alright, you got Albright, how you pronounce that, going through the gate. You got the... I think this is him in his space capsule. Or his capsule, so he's like trying to go into the void. And this, I think, is the broken capsule, or whatever you call it, as he goes into the void, which actually broke, if my memory is correct, was actually cut on the quote-unquote blade between dimensions, where it's literally the boundary between dimensions, going into the void. Even though he had like an impenetrable capsule, it was still cut and it got like crushed and whatnot. Then obviously you have man on the wall, fingers coming through. I think that's him trying to reach through, right? Before his hand got cut off.
Responsibility in the Kalimos sequence.
Or before his finger got cut off.
But I cannot do it alone. Please, assist me once more.
This update. Oh, they turned off my mic. Oh,
Lighting super cool.
cut off again.
They didn't stop and look at those. When I do this quest when it comes out, I'm gonna stop and look at all of them because we don't really get a good look at it. Obviously, I do want to say this. This is the first time we've actually been able to see like an uninfested city for the Orokin, right? Like there's no infestation down here. It's not a derelict, right? Like this is actually a habitable city where it's like a city meant on the ground. Like obviously we had the Zeraman, right? But this is like decorated for the Orokin, like the elite, right? Like that's who the Entradi were. They were the Orokin elite. So this is like an actual style for them. So it looks gorgeous. Obviously, Steven is fucking lighting. I hope this bleeds over into like a derelict update, but probably not. Obviously, I can only imagine the system requirements for this. The smashed capsule.
And into the domain of monsters. Monster Entrati never completed his final project. The vessels. The sequence dictates they cannot awaken before the sleeper does. Do you hear that?
All right, that was the man in the wall. We remember we heard his voice at the end of the New War. Okay, so real quick also, one of the reasons why I'm so impressed about this is during the lore, right? The reason why the Orokin, like the 10-0 was trying to go to Tal is because the Orokin had been living in a life of excess, and this is the first time we've actually seen like what that excess truly is. And the Orokin were creating like these slave races, right? Like the Grenier, you know, all that, like the sentients were for like mining and whatnot. Or the sentients were for traveling to Tau. Obviously that didn't work out, but they made them weak to void energy. So this is the first time we've actually gotten to see like the true, like undestroyed Orokin art style that isn't like the derelict. I can only hope that this leads to like an update to the tile type, but it looks gorgeous. Obviously, this is the home of a scientist. Nice little bullet jump.
Poor abandoned things, still faithfully following Master Entrati's last command to defend. Show mercy, Tenno.
These guys are really cool. Little sentinels. Obviously using the Tenant Hound. The Tenant Hound motions. I never figured out what's the reason. Obviously it's for like showing gameplay, but you never see what the display looks like. I kind of wonder if there's going to be like an update to it, right?
The void tongue. He feared it was meaningless, and feared more that it was not.
Because 10 years is a big deal. They might
What we have
update the
here is
display
a
or the
procedural
HUD.
brand new core tile set from a hub. So Deimos will expand, the Necrolis will expand to provide you with a deeper look at his beautifully lit tile set.
I wonder if there's new glyphs. Like, we see them on the door, right? I wonder if those glyphs end up meaning something.
That book was like a diary to Master Entrati. His grimoire. No doubt it holds the secrets of the Vessos and of the Kalimo sequence. Take it, Tenno.
So this is a new weapon type, a brand new weapon type we're adding.
Wizard frame.
I confess it galls me slightly to see a compendium of knowledge used as a weapon. Now, things must. We need be in no doubt of your skill, at any rate.
It's kind of weird seeing a book. Like, I appreciate the new style, right? Or the new weapon. But to be honest, like, if you notice, it's got, like, the stuff that bounces on the ground, like the secondary AoEs. Or what looks like secondary AoEs. I wonder if we might see this, looking at this thing and how it deals damage. I wonder if we're going to start seeing weapons that are cell phone friendly, right? Because if you looked at it, you weren't really having to get headshots. It's a couple of AoEs. Like, it seems like it's kind of like a Colstar AoE where you have like the big direct hit and then you have the little tiny grenades. Obviously the Colstar being like the baby equivalent of, say, like a Brahma, right? It feels like maybe we might start getting in our weapon rotation, if you will, if we're going to start seeing like primaries and secondaries that are a little bit more friendly to cell phones, and hopefully that sort of stuff doesn't really impact any gunplay, because I think if they mess that up a little bit, it's definitely going to detract from like one of the things that's really core to Warframe. Is you've always had the option of going like your big AoE damage, say like the Brahma used to, which was a little excessive, but you know, it is what it is. Now there's like the Tonkor. But we've never really had anything that was like cell phone friendly, you know what I mean? So maybe this is something we'll have to watch out for. And maybe this is like a teaser of that sort of play style.
What is he looking at?
This is wild as fuck.
In monstrous danger, these labs. If we're sealed, we can only hope the sleeper has been untouched by this vast.
So one of the things that actually confused the fuck out of me with this is obviously you see the faces everywhere. You got a face in the ceiling. You can see the white coming out of their breath. I couldn't figure out if this was the man on the wall, like his current incarnation, right? Or like where he went to. Like, obviously we're still on Deimos. So is this what's beneath Deimos? Like, what's beneath this? Because it looks like we're hanging on the bottom, right? You really don't see
Great indifference.
pillars, right? Like, you can see it going down and like into clouds. So it's like we're hanging on the bottom of something. Obviously this is kind of an insane lab, but you know, the Orokin being who they are, they could have developed something this far. Like, these are buildings, like structures, right? So it's something we're gonna have to watch out for, but it looks like this area is either infested with a variant of the man in the wall. There'll be some stuff later on, but this just seems like maybe this is where the man in the wall went after the end of the New War. And it doesn't really come to a conclusion because they're going on this whole eternalism vibe. So it's not like, obviously there's a heavily implied, when we get to the end, there's a heavily implied location of where the man in the wall is. But if they're doing this eternalism thing and you're talking about like a void creature, the guy could be anywhere. So this is pretty wild. Obviously another gorgeous tile set. That's kind of cool, not gonna lie, the eye in the wall. Lots of labs. I'm not gonna lie, the layout is kind of reminds me of like Halo a little bit. Like what was it, Halo 2, where you had to raid the lab. But we got I really like this, the new enemy. It feels, I'm glad they updated the enemy type. Like literally the AI appears to be different. But I like that we're getting the mini bosses. Obviously it's a quest mini boss, but tiny little head. And one of the things, just to sort of talk about it, it's no secret that Reb's a fan of like the Final Fantasy Online MMO. I hope that is one of the things that does sort of bleed over from that, because she is the creative director, right? Is we start getting more bosses that just like drop in. We've noticed it now in like, say, the circuit, how you have like, what is it, Vor and the Jackal. Just having more mini bosses that try to kill you every now and then. Especially if you're like on Steel Path or whatever. Like, there's no reason why, in order to like it, like the Jackal can't drop in. Like, because if the Jackal's still dropping in the circuit, right? Like, obviously that's, you know, void touched or whatever you want to call it. But just, I like the idea of having bosses. I don't know about the gate though. Obviously this looks cool. It's a new faction. I wonder what its resistances are. It's got a tiny little fucking head. I don't mind it. Bosses with phases. All the little hands going everywhere. I mean, they've definitely upped the art style, let's be honest here. They've definitely upped the art style. They've really been going ham with that recently.
So that is a new faction that's coming called the Murmur.
Yeah, the Murmur.
Master Entrati jealously protected his most adored possessions, be they objects or people. Come, the sleeper awaits.
It's kind of wild that it's a train. Even thousands of years in the future.
The
Kalimov sequence has begun?
The Nokia still holds its charge and survives.
No. No, of course he didn't. That would be impossible.
This is, well, Lloyd, the original. All emotional sense is very much intact. Did you have a good sleep?
Ah, the helpful Necroloid Mutt Albrecht had made, so that I might have assistance and company. Perhaps that made it easier for him to leave. Resume your duties, Construct.
Resume your duties, Construct.
Please, follow me.
This is a Tenno, an orphan of the void, continuing the struggle.
Real Lloyd's kind of an asshole.
So we're going back to the hub.
Oh, the vessels are unfinished.
So what it looks like, if this is like an actual thing that they're trying to show, like this is, it looks like this is pure gameplay of the quest line, right? So it looks like there's going to be multiple, like if it's considered canonically one lab, maybe it's going to be multiple labs, which would be kind of cool. But if this goes around like this, and this is sort of a new tile set even, well, maybe it's like like a full Orokin upgrade, but if this is like a tile set more or less, because she said procedurally generated, right? This could be kind of cool if this is something that they're actually going to do, maybe into an expansion where it's like sort of like Destiny, right, where you have to go to a specific part of like a really large map, and it's like a custom map for you. If they branch into this, it wasn't something until I thought about later, but if this is something they're going to make reusable and not like a one-time thing, which DE has kind of done in the past, this could be a really interesting concept for like a procedurally generated open place. And these transports, the reason why I think it might be like a giveaway is they added transports to open worlds, right? This might be a way to have like multiple labs in an area, and in between the labs, sort of like as you go from like quest location or like point of interest or whatever you want to call it, this might be the fast travel method or mechanism, right? The portals. And for like really large travel or whatever it is, that could be like the train, right? Now the train thing isn't going to be like super clear because we're going to see in a second, but hopefully this is leading into like a different sort of like procedurally generated open world where it's like a large quest area. Because obviously you can jump from lab to lab. Like when we looked out into the area out there with that, what do you call it, like the massive skybox with the faces, it was filled with labs. There's no reason why you couldn't make that like a quest area, or make it like a new area within Deimos and make it like a Deimos update more or less, right? Like they moved the Orokin Derelict and turned it into Deimos, right? Well, this could be like an underworld for it. So I hope it's something they went to. Obviously, we're going to find out.
Like a book one might one day return.
Not in this video, but like we'll find out when it gets released, right? But when I saw that, that's what I thought is like, oh, this could be a transport for like a mission area.
Suggests you are the key. That colorless antique there, use it.
This triggers the fuck out of me. How many forma do you think that thing's going to take?
So what if you could use transference on something bigger than an oh.
How many mods? Alright, I actually gotta mute this. For those of you that don't know, They're playing Nine Inch Nails, and people have gotten strikes. Oh, hold on, not that one. So they tell us this guy's name's Arthur. Obviously, this is a very human Excalibur look-alike. And what appears to be the infested, maybe in like with a early technocyte virus. "10 years of Warframe, and we've upgraded all the way to the AK-47, whichever variant that is. But yeah, they said it's not Hayden Tenno, but still, Excalibur suit. So that means, right? If this isn't Hayden Tenno, and Hayden Tenno had the prototype, so this means this is somebody else, right? But it's also a second suit. So that means this area would be after the end of Dark Sector. For those of you that don't know, Dark Sector was like a prequel to Warframe. Like you had like a glaive, you could like throw it through elements and whatnot, and have pretty good gunplay. But at the end of it, he gets the Excalibur suit. But this isn't Hayden Tenno, so obviously this is a different person, different suit. So this would post-date. So the assumption is with this is that it's a prequel to Warframe that's tied in using their Eternalism BS. But this would be a prequel to Warframe, but a sequel to Dark Sector. So they're trying to tie them together. And I'm all for it. I mean, obviously this was on nobody's bingo card. But it's just dope. So obviously, I'm going to back it up a little bit. Obviously, we can see something that looks like an infestation starting, right? Obviously, they're infested around. So maybe the infested this is like a new location, because generally when the infested come along, they tend to fuck shit up. You can see the front of the car, or the tram, or whatever you want to call it. Big growths, big growths. Never really figured out a location. Couple of references there.
Start over. Find that Dr. Entrati bastard on day one.
Hold on, let me see if I can back up to where there's no audio. Or no music. Hey, we got balls we can kick.
I wish we could just start over. Find that Dr. Entrati bastard on day one. Then I wouldn't be alone on New Year's Eve.
A character we haven't met yet called Aoi. Bitch has got nothing but vowels in her name, AOI. Hey, we got reflections.
Keep going, Arthur. Find Dr. Entrati. Follow him into hell if you have to.
That's the Mag Crush, if you haven't heard it. If this is one of those things where it's like the earliest form of Warframes, that means we could also potentially get what is it, Excalibur. Obviously we're looking at him if this is like the idea of like the predecessors to the Warframe. So we have Excalibur. We have Aoi or whatever, which is somebody we haven't met before. That's potentially Mag. We also have the potential to see Loki. They don't show him here, but if it's like the precursor frames, right? Like the earliest groups of frames, that means anybody that was like the originals could potentially be in this. So we could potentially see like a Rhino. What was the original 3, right? So it was Loki. Sorry, it was Mag, Excalibur, Loki, and then they swapped it for Volt, right? So any of those 4 would immediately be on the ballot of somebody we could run into, and I'm all for that. But what's kind of wild is they didn't really specify, because they said, right, it was gameplay of the quest with a teaser of what's going to be coming in the future. And I'm not sure where the difference is. It was probably in the guy when you transferred into the bigger creature, right? The golem or whatever the hell they're going to call it. But if this is like a seamless thing, that means we get sent back as like a group, right? Obviously, you have Mag. If this is Excalibur, then that means you could have other frames. If it's a precursor idea, that'd be pretty interesting. If this is us going back in time, if you will, also cool. They don't really explain it, though. And also, it could also be maybe some sort of mental like construct, because obviously we were in the golem. If that's the angle they're going through, it's something only the golems can see, where it's like a joint simulation or whatnot. That could also be an angle. This is where it gets really into just theory crafting, right? Okay, audio off. 9 Inch Nails again. Super good band. Kind of dates myself. They got TVs and stuff stuck to them. It's kind of funny. Wonder if they count as weak points or anything like that, but they're infested. You can see them running around. And they're actually bumping into the balloons and whatnot. It's super good motion detection. Quick little blackout. And this is a super nice touch. Obviously the cat again. Is this a JoJo reference? Again, not Hayden Tenno. Okay, I just want to say, and I really appreciate this. At the beginning, further down here, of Tennocon, nobody really knew why, but like obviously the crowd went along with it. They had the crowd count down to Happy Birthday. Or not Happy Birthday, Happy New Year, right? And nobody knew why. They were like, oh, it's for something, right? In the period of like an hour and 20 minutes, they rendered the crowd saying Happy or New Year into this video. That is a super fucking awesome touch. Do not get me wrong. That is a wonderful touch. You can hear him, that's the crowd. And obviously we get the man in the wall voice. So here's the thing, like my take on it, because I know you guys care, right? I'm still not sure and this is part of the thing, is it's like a teaser, right? We're still not sure if Albright is in that box before, right? Because remember, he smashed it when he got in the box with his cat. Is he still in there? Are we joining him, plugged into the Matrix, if you will, by joining the big golem? And we have to transfer in. Is it like a shared consciousness sort of thing? I mean, there are so many angles that this could take, and I'm here for it. Okay. And maybe this is just like a manifestation. I can't play that. It's copyrighted. And this could just be like a manifestation of like somebody's mental image, but it could also be that we went back in time. Okay. Warframe 1999. All right. Listen, I was alive in 99 and I was like, I think in high school in 99. 1999 fucking sucked. Okay. This is a horrible year to go back to. Obviously this is like a phenomenal like teaser. But that being said, like I sincerely hope they don't do like the man on the wall does Y2K, right? Like that would be so fucking lame. But obviously it's kind of a throwback. It kind of makes me feel old as fuck that 1999 counts as a throwback, right? But obviously if you were born in 99, that means you're like 24 now. Like 99 wasn't that long ago, okay? It's not over. They say a couple words at the end, but that's pretty much it. Kind of triggers me a little more than it should that it's 1999. Listen, it's not that fucking long ago, okay? But, so like final thoughts. We don't know which direction it's really going into. Obviously, looking at the travel between labs, I'm kind of hoping that turns into like a bigger thing. Or they said it's procedurally generated. I'm hoping that's not all, you know, single player, where it's like an individual thing. Though I'd be here for it if it was. That being said, it was kind of noted that the landscape for the open areas where you're like actually like quote unquote outside, as much as you can say that, was a little sparse. So I think we're looking at like the beginning of the influence of like cell phones. Like obviously the idea of like a massive open world is going to be something we might just be like a bygone era loading in a big open world. That being said, like thinking about it, we could be looking at the like an idea of texture streaming. Where if it's like procedurally generated, it could just generate maps as you go, is like where my thought process is. Because if we've gotten to the point where texture streaming is the way that it is, it means you don't have to render it beforehand, which would be way more cell phone friendly if they figured that out. But it also means the idea of like, oh, a big open world, it can just be as big as you fucking want. So if that's with the eternalism thing, they might be trying to go into that. But I don't know. It's bullshitting. But it would be dope. But anyway, that's my thoughts on it. It was wild. Nobody picked this. Oh, they were going to do like a bridge between like Dark Sector and Warframe. I hope this doesn't involve a ton of retcon, and at the same time, I know that the eternalism thing is sort of something that kicked off with the Zeraman. I hope this isn't like, you know, the Marvel multiverse thing, where it actually like gets collapsed within a storyline, or is something a little bit more permanent, maybe like a one timeline thing. Because if it's like multiple, as soon as you go into that multiverse thing, personally, it feels like it's just lazy fucking writing. Because it's like, oh, like Why can't you have like a Batman that's like a Wolverine hybrid, right? Like it's just multiverse stuff, and that shit was made, right? Um, I hope they don't take that line where it's just like pure whatever they want. Like Warframe has been really, really good about having a fairly easy to follow, more or less, quest line. And if they go for the true like anything and anything is possible route, hopefully they don't. But if I feel like it could detract. But I hope that was sort of like a hint at like a big open world, but they use the transport system to get you from like lab to lab, and it's all procedurally generated because she's never said that before. Like we have stuff where it makes a tile set. Like when you load into a mission, like the game generates that. Like that's one of the things the host does. But if it's like procedurally generated, it means you could just go lab to lab, and the game would just have to remember what's plugged together, and it could just texture stream it. Dude, I would be totally down for that. Then you could just go from like area to area, and it'd level, like things would get stronger. Maybe it's something you can like travel to where it's like a big area. I'd totally be down for that. Because texture streaming is coming, but maybe not with Warframe, but eventually they're gonna figure that shit out once they get the bandwidth fixed. But anyway, this video has been long enough. Been about an hour and 10 minutes for a 40-minute video section. Mr. Steinax, lover of Steinax, I hope this was good for you. I always enjoy Tennocon. It's super good theory crafting. It's an absolute hype machine. And DE always does Tennocon phenomenally. But as of right now, we don't have anything new that came with Tennocon besides skins. But so there's nothing new to play right now. But the quest line looks awesome. The future for Warframe looks pretty damn bright. So this is going to be the first serious quest line where it is Reb and the new leaders of DE and Warframe section of DE, where they're really coming up with their own thing. So you kind of just got to trust the process. Like, I'm not going to say I hope they do a bad job. I like the way it was before, because it's literally hoping the captain of your ship, crashes, right? Like, you're on the ship too. So I hope they do a good job. They clearly care a lot. But you can't say they're not trying to get shit done. Like the waffling and the putting shit off that we've experienced in the past, I am not getting that vibe from this group at all. Like, this is really aggressive compared to what we're used to. This is really aggressive, and I hope they pull it off. So, anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this. I don't do this sort of breakdown very often. I hope it works out. We're all in the same boat playing Warframe. I hope this is start to another wonderful chapter. I hope this is the thing that revitalizes Warframe. Gets Warframe up to a couple 100,000 players a day, because right now we're sitting at like 50, and it's down like more or less day after day. It has been climbing in the past couple of months, but there was a point where it was like 20,000, 30,000 people playing Warframe from like last year's Tennocon, like 180,000. It was down to like 60 by the next month. So I hope this isn't. I hope they fix the cycle, and more importantly, I hope when this shit gets released, it's fucking bug free. That's what I hope. I hope that's with the new group. I hope that's the thing they do. I hope they beta test and fix and patch this shit, because I'm not going to go full doomer, but like, I hope this new group of people, well, it's like the new people in charge, right? Like, obviously these are all people that have been lifers with DE, right? I hope they get rid of the bugs on release. It's such bad optics. It's such bad PR. You get all these new people, So I hope they knock this out of the park because it looks great. It looks phenomenal. But anyway, that's my commentary. I hope you all enjoyed. I don't know if I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna do this for dev streams or anything like that, but did it one time, not for me. Tennocon, I might do this again next year. But I hope you all enjoyed. Take it easy. Have a blessed day, guys.